Hi, welcome to third grade. My name is Sandra Gilbert and I am one of the math and science teachers.
Hi, I'm Miss Rawson and I teach third grade ELA and social studies.
Hey, I'm Miss Laws. I'm the other ELA and social studies teacher.
Hello, I'm Karen Lott and I teach math and science as well.
Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is our expectations, rules, and consequences. All right, our first expectation and our rule in our classrooms is for the kids to be respectful of classmates, their teacher, and their school. We need to not touch each other's property and just, keep our hands to ourselves, but the kids have been doing a great job of that so far. We need to come to class prepared with materials. This year, since we're not allowed to share community supplies, they have to have their pencil pouch with all of their materials in it. So they have been doing a great job with that. Just continue, as well as the COVID procedures. They've been doing great at wearing their masks and washing their hands and socially distancing. Another expectation we have is for the kids to study for their weekly tests. I know that it's a little hard right now with A and B day, but those tests and grades are still vital to our everyday, so we do need to be studying what we send home and just overall having a good attitude. Times are weird right now. We're not sure how school is going to continue to go, but we just need to have them keeping a good attitude with everything that they are doing. Our consequences in our classroom usually start with a warning. That is, they usually get on yellow. The next warning is when we're still having to talk to them about what's expected of them. That will include them missing their brain break, what we used to call recess. If we further have to get on to them or ask them about their behavior, it's parent contact and then the principal's office, but hopefully we won't have to go to that. All right, just a little more about our COVID procedures. They are in place and our kids are doing awesome, so no need to talk anymore about those.
So this year we have a system put in place called Rebel Rewards, and each student has been placed on a team. There is a gray team, black team, red team, and blue team. And with this, the students are on teams with other people within their grade, within different grades. So that might have people from their team on their grade, and also other grades as well. And with that, each house gets different points based off of I-Ready, their grades, their attendance, and discipline. Anytime that they get referrals, that will go against them. So with that, just really we're encouraging the students to try their best, to do their best in school, and they will be rewarded for their positive behavior. At the end of the 9 weeks, there will be a celebration and rewards for the team, the house that has the most points. These are just some photos of our students working very hard in class.
I'm going to discuss I-Ready with you. We took diagnostic test a couple weeks ago, and that diagnostic test was extremely important because it helped pave the way for your students' learning path. So we'll take another diagnostic test about November and then another one probably in February. And each time that diagnostic test is taken, it will then modify that learning path with your child's progress in those skills. We, as a grade level, also have data chats with your child, and those data chats help hold the student accountable. So they look at where they are at the beginning of the year, then they also look at progress as they go along, and paying attention also to all of the standards that we teach in third grade, and maybe some areas of weaknesses, but definitely we focus on their strengths as well. I-Ready is so important because it is a gap filler. We can't always accommodate every student with every weakness 100% of the day, but I-Ready helps to fill those gaps and help learning be optimum for your child. Also, we require 45 active minutes each week in reading and math. So they'll take care of math minutes in the math classes and reading minutes in the reading classes. Also, we're just going to mention some of the general yearly goals for third grade. Overall, we want your child to become an independent learner and thinker. We try to organize them in the way of the desk and binders, and we try to help along. But ultimately, they're in third grade now, and it's time that they take responsibility themselves to be organized. Time management, iReady is going to help with that as well. Also, we just want them, as Morgan mentioned, Ms. Lyles mentioned, to be a positive contributor to the classroom. One of the mottos in my classroom is spread kindness like confetti. You know, always have a positive attitude, whether it's with your friends, with your teachers, with other powers of authority that may be here at the school as well. Also, some of the math goals we want to mention is that by the end of the third grade, we want your child to be able to fluently compute all facts. That's an addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Great thing to help with that is just simple flashcards. You can find apps as well that help, but we'll do a big push on those multiplication facts coming up soon, and there'll be incentive-based goals. Usually we do like a whole popcorn, Coke, snack incentives for different milestones that they meet within memorizing those facts. Because if they can learn those facts, it's going to make fourth grade so much easier. Also, just of course, the mastery of state math standards. There are 4 areas. We discussed those in the data chats. There's numbers and operations. There's algebra and algebraic thinking. There's measurement and data. And then there is also, geometry. Geometry. So we want those skills as well to be mastered by the end of the year.
Okay, so some of our reading goals are that we want them to have independent learning. And with that is when they are reading and they're trying to comprehend the text, we need them to have strategies and skills that they use to understand that text, such as using our unwrap method when you read a story, or using context clues, or just any other strategies to figure out unknown words. We need them to do that because they're going to deal with that the rest of their life, reading things and maybe not understanding them, and they need to have those skills to be able to understand them, as well as for the GATE when they take that test and are reading. They need to be able to do things on their own. We also want to have a big push for correct grammar this year. We've got to capitalize those sentences and use correct punctuation. That is so important because they've got to learn how to interact with me formally, and as well as understand formal language for that GATE test, and just for when they do get their first job and they're having to read things from their work. That's got to be something that is fluent within them. We also have another important reading goal for this year, and that is we're going to start doing weekly reading logs, and our goal for them is to read 20 minutes a day. And I have on the next slide I have some reasons why those are so important. All right, a student A that reads at home for 20 minutes a day will hear 1,800,000 words per year. They will have read 851 hours by 6th grade, and on standardized tests they will likely score better than 90% of their peers. Okay, this is so important for them to be reading. It helps them practice those comprehension skills that they've learned in class. So our reading logs and reading at home is super important, and we will talk more about those when we start incorporating those in our classrooms. All right, another important part of our reading class is AR. Okay, it tracks their independent practice by them taking quizzes after they read those books. It just lets us know where they are, what they're struggling with. You know, did they read their book and understand it, or were they not able to understand it? It improves their comprehension, their fluency, and their vocabulary. This allows them to begin reading faster, to comprehend what they're reading by reading something they enjoy and building their vocabulary. And this promotes motivation because they're reading things that they actively chose. It's not just us giving them those prompts. So they're getting to practice what they're learning in class by allowing them to read things that they are passionate about.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk just really briefly about some of the resources that we use in 3rd grade. We have a lot of different things that we use and utilize to help your child learn. One of the things that Miss Lott already talked about was iReady. That's something that the kids really enjoy. They also learn a lot from, and it really helps to kind of fill in and build some gaps. Another thing that we like to do is Kahoot, and your child can probably tell you all about Kahoot. It's kind of a game, but it lets them answer questions, and they get points for answering quickly with accuracy. So that really helps us when we start talking about time management later in the year and working towards that for our state test that we're going to talk about in a minute. And it also just makes going over questions and learning things a lot of fun. Google Classroom is something that especially our virtual learners are really utilizing a lot this year, but our students in class can also use that. All of your teachers can load things into their Google Classroom for their child. That can be accessed through logging on to the school website and then going to the Clever app. And the children know how to do that. And so that's something they can access even when they're at home on maybe some of these days when they're not coming into school, or if they happen to be sick and out for a few days. That's something we can put those materials on there, and it gives them access to things that they also have access to in the classroom, and it just helps them be able to bridge, home and school. It gives you access also to look at some of the things we're working on in school, so that's a really great tool for us. We also use our Math Basel program, Envision. So when your child brings home maybe pages from their textbook or something with that's on their assessments, that's kind of what we're basing that. That's our program that we follow. We don't do all the pages in there or all the lessons, but we use the ones that tie into our state assessments and to our state standards in math, and we use that. So that may be something that you see coming home. Ms. Ralston's going to talk just a minute about our other resource that we use a lot, and that's Wonders.
Wonders is the curriculum that we use for English language arts, and we have 2 textbooks that we use to read stories from. That's where we really tie in our standards for English language arts, and that's where we use workbooks that we pull information for different types of assessments, and like she said, a lot of the homework sheets will be used from our Wonders program too. So Wonders is just a really great program.
Okay. District assessments are something that we'll take in October, in December, and in March. Again, they're tests that are computer-based, and they're structured very much like our state assessments. They're also fairly closely aligned with your weekly assessments that your child's going to have in reading and in math. We use some questions and format questions on those weekly assessments like the ones you'll see on the district as well as the state assessment. So all of our assessments throughout the year are aligned, but the district assessments are assessments that are formatted and closely look a lot like, and the time frame is a lot like the state tests at the end of the year. So they help us kind of know what we need to work towards with your students, and also help your students know what they're going to be expecting when they get to those state tests at the end of the year. We have 4 days of state assessments, 2 days of reading and 2 days of math. Those are given in April and May. And math, you have day 1 is 107 minutes long. Day 2, they have 70 minutes, and those are hard timelines. So that's why we talk about time management, and we want them to work their problems out and show their work, but we also want them to know that they can't take all day doing those things. So time management is critical. And again, all those tests are on the computer, which is why we do a lot of technology-based things in our classroom throughout the year.
For the reading state assessment, the GATE and also the MAP, it is we have 2 days that we do for ELA. We will have, on the first day, we will have 113 minutes to complete the reading comprehension part of the assessment. On the second day, we will do our writing part of the assessment, and that will be 150 minutes for the writing part. For that, they will read a passage, and from that passage, they will have to write a writing prompt. And they have to type their essays on the computer. And we do practice with the computers. We practice typing on the computers, and we are practicing just using the technology so that when the state test comes around, they will be ready to do that. Also, Read Theory. Read Theory is a program that caters to your child's individual learning path. They took a pre-test on Read Theory where they just see what they learned, what they already know, what level they're already on. And so when they log into Read Theory, that is catered to their specific reading path. So they can read iReady and Read Theory at home. So they can go to readtheory.org to work on that. At their home, they have their password and usernames, and these are just fun passages for the students.
Okay, a few other things to think about in third grade, it's a little different from the lower grades, is that we really have a shift in in our instructional focus in third grade. Your child is going to kind of go from learning how to read to reading to learn, and that is a huge change. It's a huge shift, and with that, sometimes it can be challenging for some students to really kind of make that transition and realize that that's kind of what our focus is on now, is not just reading. And it can be particularly challenging for students who may be struggling a little bit with fluency and some of those issues. So that's why that we have such a big focus on making sure we get that up to speed and where it needs to be so that we can begin to comprehend and look at those type of things. Expectations can be a little higher, and grading is a little more rigorous in third grade, perhaps on that type of material than it was in the earlier grades, because we aren't any longer just learning to read. We're reading to learn and do lots of things with it. So with that, sometimes you see frequently as third grade teachers, we see students have a little drop in their grades, maybe from what they've had in first grade, second grade. A student who was an honor roll student maybe having to be working a lot harder to maintain that. So that's just something that as parents, we would like for you to be aware of, that we are doing everything we can at school to support your student in making that transition. We realize it can be a challenge for them, but it's a challenge that we know that they're able to meet. We're here to help them meet that challenge, and so we want to also know that we're here to offer tools and support for you as parents if we can, so that you're able to help your child as well. So all of us working together, we know that we can meet that challenge. And we look forward to working with you.